Hi, everyone. We're going to begin. I am just going to have my camera on just for the introduction, and then we will we'll continue the conversation just with sound and without the video because we are sensitive to Mumen's connection, who is connecting from Rafah right now. Thank you so much for joining us today. A little bit of background about this event. We have been wanting to bring the voices of our NaTakallam tutors who are based in Gaza to the forefront, and it's been a back and forth conversation given the difficulty of accessing power and connectivity from Gaza. However, Mumen has been really incredible and able to find a way around this, to be able to share his story and what his day-to-day life is like today. So we have put together this event in a very quick, slow time frame. And so we also would like to apologize for any connectivity issues that might arise. For all of those who are following the news, we know right now that the situation is even more heartbreaking as the announcement of an imminent onslaught on Rafah. So we're still fortunate to have and be in touch with the Mumen right now. So thank you again for joining. For those who are new to NaTakallam, just a very quick parentheses. NaTakallam is a social enterprise, and we offer language trainings, language learning lessons, translation and interpretation services delivered by individuals who are either refugees and from a displaced background or currently in conflict settings. And so Mumen has been with NaTakallam for 6 to 7 years at this point, I think, and he'll tell us a bit more about it. But we felt that it was really something that we could provide through NaTakallam to hear directly from someone currently in Gaza. So throughout the hour, we are going to be sharing as well a link to a GoFundMe campaign that was started by one of Mumen's students and his former colleagues. So Jordan and Alex, thank you so much. And I think Kelsey, maybe you can show the link to the crowdfunding campaign. So we are about $5,000 short of reaching the goal to help Mumen get him and his family out of Gaza. So please consider donating to his campaign. I'm being very ambitious in saying that maybe by the end of this hour, we would be able to reach the target of 40K. But who knows, it might be possible, and feel free to reach out to friends throughout this conversation to encourage them. So I think I hope people are able to see the chat. It's quite an incredible turnout, people from across the globe. Thank you so much for being here, from Spain, from California, from DC, from South Africa, from New Mexico, from Turkey, from Rhode Island. Thank you again for showing up and for your support. And yes, the fundraising link has been shared now in the chat as well. And I think my colleagues Kelsey and Sohara are here in the background as well, helping with the slides. So I think we're now ready to turn to Mumen and to start the conversation. And please note that we really want this to be a very candid, lively exchange. I'll be asking a few questions to Mumen, and in the meantime, please don't hesitate to also put in your questions. And so we'll be leaving the second half of this event for a Q&A, and the format will be that you will write your questions and then they'll be passed on to us, and then I'll be asking them to Mumen. So please, let's start without further ado. Mumen, welcome to this call. Thank you so much for being here. I would like to first start by hearing from you where oh yes, sorry. And this is just, I think most people on this call know the severity of the situation, and it's not only in Gaza, but in West Bank. So these are just a couple of the numbers as a reminder. And now we'll hear directly from Mumen, who can start by telling us, you know, where you are right now, and why did you end up where you are right now, and what are the current living conditions like? So, Mumen,
Yeah,
hi.
hello, Aline. Hello, boss. How are you? Thank you, everyone, for joining. It means a lot to see like about 100 people are here. My name is Mumen Al-Tibi. I am 33 years old. I'm basically a software engineer, but I've been working with NaTakallam for like 6 years or so. My journey with this war started like after 7 October, like 2 days, like in 9 October. The airstrike started in our place, just in our place. It's called Al Karama. It's in Gaza City. So our first flee was there. We had to leave like at the dawn because every inch of the street was being targeted. Uh, we waited until they stopped for like a minute and then left. We were about to die many times that night because at my window the stones of their targeted places were going up to our window all the time. So we left to my sister's house. It was in Sheikh Radwan near the place, but we stayed there for like a week or two. Then they said, the army said we have to leave to the south. It was very dangerous because we heard many stories about people being taken on the way to the south. So my father refused, many refused, but I had to take my daughter and go because when I was looking at her, I was scared that an airstrike would hit Gaza anytime at my sister's house. So I had to leave like on the 15th of November. It was very scary, a day I would never forget. On our way, we had to walk for like an hour because the whole way was destroyed, so no transportation. When we reach when we reached their territory, the army, they started walking toward us, uh, screaming for no reason. For no reason, we were just walking, and they were screaming at us. Suddenly, they started shooting right under our feet all the time, screaming. We freezed, waiting for the instructions. They gave no instructions, so we freezed. I was holding my daughter, afraid she would scream. They would shoot her. They would do that. They were very angry, so we waited for like 10 minutes. Then they allowed us to walk. We couldn't have any luggage with us because it's not allowed. Like we've heard that, and we tried to just get a small bag for our. Just everyone has one shirt to change when we arrived to the south. So we had to walk again for like 2 hours. I had to put my daughter on me, on my shoulders all the time. I wouldn't forget their screams and shooting under us. And to be fair, I was one of the luckiest persons because many who came, including my family, who came 2 days after, they had to wait for like 6 hours or 5 hours at least, and had the same experience. So we arrived at Khan Yunis, not Rafah at first, waiting for my family to come. The day the day they came was one of the hardest days at all because I was I was afraid they would take one of them, like they take our relatives who had nothing to do with any sort of armed resistance. He even looked like a foreigner, and his lifestyle was like he speaks English all the time. So I thought if they take Dawood, they would take anyone. So I feel lucky that my family passed. Then when they gathered, we went to Rafah and stayed there, which is here now, until now.
Thank you, Mumen, for sharing about the trajectory since the beginning of the events. Can you tell us a bit about the living conditions right now in Rafah, how you and your family are living, what kind of access to food and to water, to electricity? Can you, yeah, share a bit more
Yeah,
details
yeah,
about that?
yeah, I can, because this part is a daily part. Every day is hard. Every day is tough because getting water, just water to wash your face or to go to the bathroom, it takes like an hour every day to get to collect the money, the water, sorry, and get it up to the place where we are. We were like 20 at first, but now we are more than 30 in a small place. And every day is the struggle to collect the aids from the UN in the school, because even if you have money, you can't buy anything at first. The first few weeks, now people are selling their aids just to buy probably a jacket or to buy clean water if there was clean water. So water is a struggle to collect. Uh, Food is a bit better, but it's always the cans of cold meat, same meal every day. Mostly you don't have bread because the the wheat wasn't there in the market. It is now, but it wasn't in the market for weeks. So we used to use spoons. Uh, we had to sleep like in on the floor for days when we arrived to Rafah, because we didn't carry anything when we came from Gaza. You can't, because you have to raise your hands up for the soldiers to see. You can't you can't carry anything on you, just a small bag if you can. So it's a struggle all the time, every day. Like we lose water uh, for days, so no one goes to the toilet, sorry to say, for days until we gather some water and use it. So it's catastrophe, actually.
Yes, thank you for sharing that, Mumen. You and I have been in touch, over the past few weeks, and you've been updating me and sharing with me, how things are going overall. Recently, you shared that because the situation in Gaza City calmed down a bit, you had, a family friend go and assess your home and the
Yeah,
state of your home. So you shared with us some photos that we're gonna pull up and share a video as well. So so this was your home before leaving
yeah,
and fleeing south. And this is, I guess, a family friend who went to check the
yes. But
situation, right? So
yeah,
I
it
think
was my cousin, yes.
yes, your cousin.
Yeah.
Um, we'll just look at this video a little bit.
It still breaks my heart every time I see this.
Yeah, so we'll leave this in the background as we continue. So um, you and I had been in conversation, and at one point you said, this is it. We used to be talking, and you're like, when the war is over, I please don't forget me. I want to continue doing my translation work. I want to continue tutoring. And then at one point, basically sharing that you're looking forward to this war being over and getting back to normalcy to a certain extent, if that was at all possible. And I think, when this happened and you sent this to me, there was a bit of a turning point. Can you share a bit about the evolution of your feelings over the past few months, when things started, and just seeing the ongoing onslaught, the intensity of it, the progression of it, and how it keeps going from city to city, where it just seems like there's clearly what I'm assuming you feel is no way to stay in Gaza. Can you tell us a bit about how that has pushed you to where you are today? What is your family facing from a medical perspective, all these challenges, and the feelings one feels? Because so often we hear in the populist propaganda, people are coming, just for better opportunities. They just want to come to take our jobs. And my family is originally from Lebanon, and I remember, to this day how, my parents would share that their wish was to stay even during the conflict, but then you just get to a point where you're just pushed to the edge. Can you tell us a bit about those feelings, and also what it means to be a parent in this kind of context siege, war, conflict?
Yeah, let me start with saying that people think that Gazans are just like people in Bosnia before in the war with Serbia. They're used to struggle. They're used to agony. No problem. No, no, that's not true. Actually, Gaza was good. Uh, we had like the most educated people among the Arab countries. Uh, Everyone was struggling, okay, but not to a level that we should think that this is normal for them to suffer. No, no, they are not used to it. Many people are seeing this for the first time because the previous wars were nothing like this. The war started with airstrikes. We were thinking, no, if we are not involved, we are not targeted by the name, they won't hurt us. But we were very wrong, actually. Uh, the feelings of fear arised when we saw them attacking people who are not involved just because they were in a place where they want to wipe everything. I know someone who was in Gaza City. He had nothing to do with anything. He and his family were wiped off the population record just because they were next to a place where they wanted which they wanted wiped off all. So uh, fear started like 2 months ago when we saw that no one can stop them, no one can make them uh, abide to the law. Uh, I don't know, I don't trust that I can live for the next 2 days actually. About leaving, I never wanted to leave actually, but my parents are sick. My father can't breathe when he's asleep. He needs special medication. He needs like a way to sleep, a special method. We can't provide him with anything like that. My mother has a problem with her back, so I never wanted to leave. But you can't even have like what do you call it? Panadol here in Gaza. It's not available. No medication, nothing. You don't know if you're gonna live or not. Most people in Gaza are not afraid to die. They're afraid to be amputated. Let me say that it's weird to say, but most people are not afraid to die. They're afraid to lose their beloved ones and stay alive. They're afraid to be injured because most injuries are about amputating legs and arms. So they would pray to die all in one shot. So even when I'm asking to leave, I'm not afraid to die. I'm not afraid to die with my family. I'm afraid to live in more agony. And if anyone thinks that we are looking for a better opportunity, no, we had a very good life in Gaza. Very good. My father was a real estate agent. He was an engineer in Saudi Arabia. He had his own business, but it's down now, of course. So I didn't mention that. So we want to go back to Gaza to rebuild our life. we just want to be safe for a short while. At least my parents and my daughter. I wouldn't mind sending them and staying here. Actually, I actually my sister, uh, no, sorry, my wife was asking if they can live alone. She and my daughter, if there was a chance, I was saying yes, because that's all I'm caring about. I'm not caring about myself. Uh, life is not wasn't good, and it's worse now. So I'm not afraid about myself. I hope I just can get my parents and my daughter out. That's all.
Yeah, Mumen, I mean, extremely powerful and heartbreaking words, that, you're not afraid, I mean, that you just don't want to live anymore in agony, that, it's the pain, the fear of amputation, the fear of seeing your loved ones passing. I mean, I mean, I cannot imagine. I think, I mean, it's really so heartbreaking to hear. Um, can you share with us a little bit more about what keeps you going? Our WhatsApp messages and our exchanges over the past few weeks have been very, impactful and, make me think a lot. And you've mentioned that being able to connect with people outside the world, outside of Gaza, in the rest of the world. I assume being in touch with some of your students and your colleagues like Jordan and Alex. Can you tell us a bit more what keeps you going, how you are staying determined and hopeful? The mental health impacts of everything you are living through are so massive. Sadly, they will continue regardless of the outcome of the situation. What brings you hope and what keeps you going despite these these tremendously difficult circumstances?
Yeah, actually, I like that question because I ask it to myself every day, because I'm not a faithful guy, to be honest. So what keeps me going is only my daughter. I wouldn't even say my wife, because she's grown up. She knows what's going on. She she know that our fates are not under our control. But it's only my daughter. Yeah, just seeing my daughter smiling, laughing, asking for candy like there's nothing wrong, that makes me wanna live. Because if it was for me, and if it was for everyone in Gaza, I'm sure they are tired enough, and they would go to death by themselves, because this is no life, not a life at all, and we don't know when it's going to stop. Like, at first we were strong, all of us, because we thought like it's gonna take a month or two, we're gonna go back to our homes. uh, we're like, freedom deserves sacrifice, but this is not sacrifice. This is like, one of the crimes that happened in World War II, and no one is doing anything. I feel like I'm in Hiroshima or in Dresden in Germany. Like, no one cares. What's the point of burning a house that has nothing to do with Hamas or anyone? Just like a capital punishment for everyone. What's the point of killing people who are waiting for aids in North Gaza? They know that they can't attack them because they withdrew from the place. So it's just like, a crime in World War II the Soviets were doing, or the Japs. No one is caring, actually. So no one wants to live only but for their children. I keep wondering, why would anyone lose their child would go on in Gaza? I don't know, actually. I have no answer. And if that happens, I would a bit. It would be a relief, a bit, because it would be my chance to leave this world, this unfair world. I lost all faith in humanity. Actually, this is probably something you would hear much from Gazans, but I mean it. Like, I wasn't one of those who believe in violence to get to freedom, because those who have such thoughts mostly lose everything. I wasn't ready to lose everything, but
Yeah. No, we hear you, Mumen, and thank you for your vulnerability. Uh, you spoke that your daughter is what keeps you going. How does one tell and explain to their children what is going on, and how does someone so young but who is probably forced to grow up very quickly in these circumstances, how is it for them? What do they tell you? I am personally asking as myself a mother of two young children as well, and thinking every day what this would be like. Oh, I think we lost Mumen for a little bit. All right. I think he will connect back in a bit. So sorry about that, everyone, but I do imagine everyone understands the connection is a bit of a tricky thing right now. Um, please please continue to look at the crowdfunding campaign and share it with your friends. It would be amazing to hit this goal this evening to try and help, what will probably be a very difficult journey for Mumin and his family. Please keep sharing your messages of solidarity. I think that Mumin is not seeing them right now because he's focused on sharing his testimony, and also probably making sure his internet and everything around him is okay. But we will be relaying all his messages. I'll just take a minute to share my gratitude and thanks to all those who are joining us today. I think a few of you responded to my personal asks for you to join, and it's really okay. Thank you, Brid. $3,700 to go. So yes, let's keep it going. Mumin, actually, before today started, Netanyahu announced the plans to pretty much wipe out Rafah. So it's been an extra layer of stress on Mumin. So we did double check with him if he wanted to continue the event today, given the circumstances. So we are going to be checking in with him to see if he can join again. But in the meantime, Mumin is back. 1 second. He is going to join in a second, I think.
yeah, I'm here.
Oh, Mumin, for some reason I
Yeah.
thought I lost you. Did I
No,
lose
no, I
you?
heard you.
Oh, okay, because I couldn't see you on my screen anymore. Um, so Mumin, did you hear my question about
No, you went off that moment.
Okay, so I think we did lose you for a little bit. My last question was a follow-up to, how you shared that what keeps you going despite everything, despite your loss of hope in humanity, your complete despair at what is happening before the world's eyes, and yet we're not able to stop it. Um, how do you explain to your daughter, who is 5 years old, how do you talk to her about what is going on? How is it to see a 5-year-old live through this, given that they're somewhat old enough to have a grasp on the situation, but still so young?
Yeah. Actually, I keep telling her that this is temporary, and that nothing is going to happen to us. She lost like many cousins. We every 2 days receive news from a friend that someone is dead. We know. So she keeps asking, "Why are you sad? Why are you scared?" I would say, "No, nothing. I'm just a bit sick." Uh, Luckily, we have like many kids here, so she is distracted. When there's a strike, we say that it's away, She cries, but we say, no, no, it's not on us. It's far away from here. Uh, I don't know how far can I go with this, but I'm trying.
Yeah, and so you've mentioned to me in our conversations that you're among the luckier ones in Gaza, that you've still been able to pay for what have seemed to be very, very high rates for housing and for sheltering. What can you share about for the rest of the population, the ones that are not as lucky as you've shared as me, as
Yeah,
to me with me?
yeah. Even though the situation is very hard for me, but I'm one of the luckiest. Imagine, because this place is like Leningrad now, just like Leningrad in the World War II. Nothing is available. People are freezing. Some died because they were sick already. Uh, those with like acute conditions, uh, many of them died. Most of them sleep in tents. Most of them, especially those who came from Khan Yunis like 2 weeks ago. Uh, when it rains, like we cry, all of us cry because we are not. My brother is in a tent, but he comes to sleep like for some hours and goes back there because there's no space for him here. But those who sleep in tents and when it rains, we keep crying. Some of us start praying. Some of us lose their faith and keep cursing all the time. So for most people, it's worse actually because we can afford to buy some cans of cold meat, but most people cannot. Most of them have to sell their aids to buy clothes or a tent if they came from Khan Yunis for the past weeks. So sometimes I feel ashamed that I sleep under a roof while most people don't.
Yeah, I mean, I think that statement, when it rains, we cry, I think just reflects, a lot about how excruciating the conditions are for you all. Um,
Yeah,
and 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 so, Mumen, can you share to whatever extent you feel comfortable with, you know, um, you are trying to get out of Gaza.
yeah,
Given you know, given that Gaza is, almost like an open air prison and that the borders and the crossings are pretty much closed. What does that mean when you say that? I mean, if you feel like you can share a bit, just from practically speaking, you have spoken that you're trying to raise $40,000 to be able to do this. So from that perspective, just also reflecting on how expensive it is to just cross a border for survival and how absurd that is, right? And we see this with a number of people fleeing conflict zones and having to go through smuggling, etc. And then my other question would be, as a Palestinian, for years of the occupation and resistance and trying to stay in this land, if you can share a bit from a historical and symbolic perspective, what that means as well.
yeah. Uh, Actually, when I heard about the prices you have to pay to leave Gaza, I never wanted to try because I thought that I'm no different than anybody else, and the prices are very hard to collect. Like we were good, but we lost our business. Our house was burned, so nothing to collect. So at first, I refused to leave. I heard about some people who are paying those crazy prices to leave, uh, and I had very bad feelings against those in Egypt who collect such amounts, like taking advantage of our agony. Because like 1% of the population would be able to pay such amount. I thought I can stay in Rafah and waited to end, but when the rumors started that they are attacking Rafah soon, uh, I wanted any like I panicked actually. I wanted any solution, even though I know that paying like having the money on cash is hard in Gaza, and the agency that collects the money from people in Egypt keeps closing from time to time because the media they do an outrage every time from time to time about the prices. So I thought I can do this fundraiser. Probably I'll see my family safe one day. That would be a relief, even though if I lose everything in Gaza, but they will be safe. They will sleep like without being afraid to die or being amputated from night to night.
Thank you, Mumen, for sharing this. I'm going to ask a last question so that we can then have about 20 minutes for the audience members' questions to be answered. And please feel free, everyone, to keep sending your questions, and we'll try our best to get to them. Mumen, for our audience here and for the world out there, what do you feel individuals like us who aren't, the American government that votes to fund billions of dollars more to Israel, or aren't the people with the power to stop this onslaught? What are things that we can do as individuals to support as best as possible Gazans and Palestinians?
Yeah, actually, to tell you the truth, I'm not angry from the people in the West because every day I see them protest, which our Arab brothers do not. Yeah, when I see them in New York and in Canada, everywhere they are going to protest every day. That's a relief that people are still seeing us, seeing what's happening. So I ask them to never stop sharing. Like it affects the path of this in one way or another. So I want everyone to keep sharing our stories, to know that Israel is lying in everything this time. Like in the wars before, okay, they were trying to avoid us, but not this time. They want us suffer as much as they can. Uh, Killing is like a hobby now. You can see them sniping people from windows. Just they were walking, holding water, transferring water from place to another. You know they are not a threat. They are just doing it for sport. So I want people in the West to keep sharing our stories, to do protests, because like I want this to believe in the words again.
Thank you, Mumin. And sorry, I'm just also trying to keep track of all of the messages coming through, and I think you can see them, though it's a little bit hard to be in the conversation and read everything. So we'll be going through them, as well to all the audience members. Thank you, and we'll be sharing them and copying them to share with Mumin as well. We have a question. We have a couple of very pragmatic questions from our audience. Mumin, how are you managing to get this connectivity and the internet connection? Is one of the audience members is asking.
Yeah, actually, I never had a good connection, probably 2 hours every day from a network in the street, but this one is from a friend or a neighbor who has an eSIM, and she is living in in a high place, and like she can get the connection from Egypt. She has a good connectivity. That's how I can make this call. But in the regular days in my house, I just get like 2 hours a day or so.
Yeah, and Mumin has been really incredible to make sure he's available to speak with all of us here tonight. So thank you again, Shukran,
Of course, of
Mumin.
course.
There is another question from the audience, which is a little bit related to what we already discussed, but maybe you can explain it again and share a bit more details. So the first part of the question is, how are you able to receive money right now? I think for some of us, it's just when we see the level of destruction, the fact that water, food, medicine is not available. It's amazing to know that we can still send money to individuals like you. So maybe you can share how that happens. And I think it might be because you're particularly lucky, and you've shared this with me about your access to the card and to the bank. So that's the first question. And the other question is, again, to go back into more detail about the 40K for the fundraiser. How is it allocated? That this audience member is flagging that it's scandalous that this is the amount of money needed to cross the border. And so just kind of raising that issue up a little bit more. I think you've touched on it, but maybe just a little bit more.
Yeah, regarding the payments, there are people who have cash here in Gaza, and they're afraid that they would lose it all to some robbery or some airstrike. So they give people in exchange of sending money to their bank account. So that's how most people get cash. And there are still individuals that provide you with money in exchange of a small percentage, like 3% or 4%. So people can manage to withdraw money. They can't deposit, of course, but to withdraw it they can. And there are some people who do that even in the north. We can, like, I have relatives in the north, and some people wanted to send them money. So we call the one in the north and ask them to pay in exchange of paying the person in the south. It takes time, and sometimes it doesn't work. Sometimes you can't even have connection to call, but it eventually works.
Yes, and my colleagues here have just brought up the fundraising page. So everyone, let's we're really not that far from meeting this $40,000 goal. Mumen, and another question is related a bit to the political side of things, and what is and you and I have talked about this as well. How do the people of Gaza feel about Hamas, and how have things evolved over the past few months? Maybe you can share a little bit about that.
Yeah, well, Hamas method of of resistance was controversial for years here in Gaza. Like, not all the people, probably half the people in Gaza, they never agreed to their way, because I wouldn't say it's full of violence more than it was full of insanity. Like, they do things they know that they will get they will pay the price for, and it's mostly from the people, not from them. So people never agreed on Hamas in Gaza all the time. And after what happened and is still happening, uh, most people don't want Hamas to rule them again, not because they were wrong to fight, but because they had no brain, no what, no, like, they were never wise enough to take decisions. Like, they knew the whole world is going to go against them, and there's no one would help them. They knew the reaction of the Israelis, but they proceeded like they never cared about the outcomes. So I think people don't want to see another war if this one is over and they are still alive. The attack on 7 October, most people, uh, they weren't happy that they kept going, including me. I never wanted to see them attacking the civilians. Okay, they are settlers, but they're still civilians, so I didn't want to see them go further. Probably at the IDF point, that was enough. I know we have prisoners in Israel, but it wasn't right to attack the civilians and take them inside Gaza. That was against us, and I didn't want to see. So yes,
Yes, yeah, and there was I was looking through the question, and there is a question from an audience member who is asking if Gazans heard about what happened in Israel, and I think you've answered that question, but I don't know if there's anything else you want to add about about the awareness around around the October 7th um, happenings. But if there's anything else you want to ask, because one of the attendees was asking about this to answer.
yeah. Sorry, I couldn't hear you.
No, there is a question from the audience that was, how much do Gazans know about the October 7th events in Israel and Hamas's actions? And I mean, you're speaking about them and you're aware of them. I don't know if there's anything else you want to answer
Yeah,
on
yeah,
this matter.
yeah, yeah. Actually, most of them, they know that most of the truth. Uh, but there's a problem that the whole world was asking about 7th of October. But before the 7th of October, people in Gaza, in the West Bank, were daily being humiliated. Their mosque, Al-Aqsa Mosque, was being attacked all the time. The prisoners, especially the prisoners in Israel's prisons, were being humiliated all the time. Sometimes tortured. So the people uh, would have agreed to attack Israel, but not the Israelis inside it. Like we don't want to do what they are doing to us now. Uh, but in general, we know that we are under occupation. Our case is rightful. Everyone knows that. But the actions, no, we not all people agree with them. Probably there are many who think that they shouldn't went so far inside.
Yeah, yes. All right. Well, I thank you, Mumen. I'm just looking at the time, and we're nearing the end of our webinar. Um, if anyone has any other questions or feels that there's any questions that haven't been addressed, please feel free to put them in the chat and send them our way. Please, keep spreading the word about this fundraiser, and we will also be hosting an event in about 2 weeks for our other tutor who is based in Gaza, Shahed, who will also be sharing about her story and her perspective on the situation. I'm actually going to ask a question to Mumen as we get towards the end of the conversation. Mumen, I guess this maybe is a two-part question. Um, my first question, the first part of the question is, what is, what is one of your favorite memories about Gaza, uh, pre the, October 7th and what Gaza looks like right now? What is one of your most cherished memories or locations? And if there was one thing you could tell the world as a Gazan and as a Palestinian, and that everyone would be listening, what would it be?
Yeah. Uh, like So you're asking if I have a good memory about Gaza before the 7th of October?
One special, one favorite place or one special
Yeah, yeah.
aspect. Yeah.
Yeah, we had that small garden called Al Jundi Al Majhul, the unknown soldier. We used to go there with my daughter all the time. Actually, we were there a night before what happened. So it's swiped off now, like everything else. Uh, Sometimes I feel scared just to remember. Like I want, I can't remember the past because sometimes I feel shocked, like it's PTSD, like what happened, how, like the 4 months, uh, the past 4 months were just a nightmare that I will woke up forgetting, but no, actually, I would say to the world that uh, our best day is the day this will be over because uh, our mental health here in Gaza is being distracted, like destroyed. Uh, Everyone is losing their mind. I see people who never cried before crying from fear. So it's going to take years to heal, but hope you can help us in that.
And just for, yeah, thank you, Mumen. And I don't know if you answered the other question, is if there was one thing that the whole world could hear and could listen, one thing that you want, a message that you wanted to send out about Gaza and about Palestinians.
Yeah, a message from all people in Gaza. Please restore our faith in humanity, because most of us don't believe that there's an international law or that people care about other people. Probably from the protests in America and Europe, yeah, but people can't see that because of the connection. So I hope you can like do your pressure on your governments to change things even a little bit.
Thank you, Mumen. And as a closing, I will read one message from. We've received many messages of solidarity that we'll be sharing and saving, but I'll read one from Mexico from Gretel Uribe. Thank you, Mumen, for sharing your story, even though it is so painful to put it into words. I'll continue to share in Mexico the real and terrible situation Gaza people are living day to day. It breaks my heart to hear you, and I'm sending all the love and hope to you, your family, friends, and neighbors. So this is all the way from Mexico, and there are many more messages of solidarity. So
Thank
Mumin,
you.
we're very appreciative of all your efforts and time to join us today, and to share about, your day-to-day, your fears, your hopes, your anxieties, and we're all here trying to help from what we can as individuals. For all those who've attended, we'll be sharing a recording of this session and a few more updates. And again, thank you all. Thank you all for spreading the word. Thank you for being here. Thank you for supporting Mumen, Gazans, Palestine, and thank you all those who are supporting NaTakallam overall and helping to help individuals who are displaced and affected by conflict worldwide. So we wish all those who are on the other side of the Atlantic a good rest of the day, a good evening for those who are on the other side of the Atlantic, and thanks again, everyone. We'll keep you posted on our next event with Shahid. Thank you again, Mumen. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you, everyone.